am sitting in a room with 20 colleagues, which is a great privilege that we don't really have, or that we rarely have these days. But now, unfortunately, we found ourselves a little bit unable to communicate with each other in the 21st century world of work, and things are a bit chaotic here on our side. Nevertheless, I think it's a very auspicious occasion today where we celebrate 40 years of the UJ Law Clinic Excellence. We celebrate 40 years of clinical education, and especially we celebrate 40 years of enhancing access to justice for some of the most vulnerable members of South African society in general and in Johannesburg in particular. So, without further ado, I would please call upon our Executive Dean, Professor Wessel Domingo, to please welcome this occasion and to do an opening for us. Prof. Domingo.
Thank you, Professor van Staden. Just to let you know that Professor van Staden is an associate professor in our Department of Public Law. And thank you very much. And we all know we have challenges when we are online, but we are celebrating this live as well as in a virtual environment. So let me start off. Director of the UJ Law Clinic, Mrs. Natasha Naidu. Our speakers here today, Mr. Eddie Anikum, Director of the UP Law Clinic, but also former Director of the UJ Law Clinic. So Eddie, we see you as still part of the UJ family. We also have Advocate Elsabe Steenhuisen, the previous Director of the UJ Law Clinic as well. Mr. Paul Anthony, Director of the University of the Free State Law Clinic, Professor Davi de Villiers, Head of the Department of Procedural Law at the Faculty of Law, directors of the Law Clinic who are joining us virtually as well. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends, and Law Clinic family, good afternoon. On behalf of the Faculty of Law, I extend a warm welcome to you all in joining us today at our UJ Law Clinic celebratory event, which is titled UJ Law Clinic 40 Years of Excellence. We are delighted that you are able to join us in celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Law Clinic. It is an incredible milestone in the community outreach and access to justice the UJ Law Clinic provides and the work integrated learning it provides to our final year students. Clinical legal education provides a rich and demanding learning experience, which combines problem-based learning, often in a very disorientating swamp of emotion, which is immensely challenging but valuable to students. It profoundly affects the students' appreciation of how the various components of the law they study fit together, and it gives them an invaluable overview that informs their future learning. However, perhaps the most valuable aspect of the Law Clinic is the motivation and confidence it gives to students. We are proud to have 3 law clinics at UJ. We have the Auckland Park Kingsway Campus Clinic, the Soweto Clinic, and the Doornfontein Clinic, each headed by a clinical principal. While these clinics have provided 40 years of excellent community service and access to justice to the most vulnerable members of society, and clinical legal education to our final year students, these clinics carry a history of great people. And I want to say great people because those great people are our attorneys, candidate attorneys, directors, and support staff. Today, we not only celebrate the work of the clinic, but we also celebrate the unsung heroes of the clinic. And here I say the unsung heroes who make that work possible. That is our directors, attorneys, candidate attorneys, principal attorneys, and clinical administrative support staff. I commend the excellent work you have done at the UJ Law Clinic, and I want to say to you all, we see you, we see your work, we praise and salute you today in celebrating 40 years of excellence. We are living in extraordinary times. Never would we have imagined law clinics functioning online in a time of a worldwide pandemic. COVID-19 has fast-tracked us into the world of the 4th industrial revolution. However, what it has also done has shown us the deep disparities and inequalities still prevalent in our society. So I cannot tell you what will happen in the next 40 years. The 80th anniversary of the Law Clinic will be in 2061, and I don't even want to think about how old I will be then. But what I do know is that the work of the Law Clinic here at UJ and elsewhere will have to embrace the new era of the fourth industrial revolution, reimagine and be part of creating the future of tomorrow. So in conclusion, may the UJ Law Clinic continue to prosper and enjoy another 40 years of success and excellence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Domingo. We will now hear from a previous colleague of ours here at the University of Johannesburg, who is now the director of the University of Pretoria Law Clinic, and who was also instrumental in building the Law Clinic within the last couple of years before our most recent director took over from him. Mr. Eddie Anikum, if you would please.
Thank you very much, Professor van Staden and Dean Domingo, for your kind words and for the opportunity to address you. Dear Mrs. Naidu, Professor de Villiers, Advocate Steenhuisen, all my former colleagues of the UJ Faculty of Law, and then especially all my former colleagues of the UJ Law Clinic. Thank you for allowing me to address you on this glorious occasion. I wish to congratulate you all on this achievement of 40 years of excellence at the UJ Law Clinic. And I do so on behalf of the University of Pretoria's Law Clinic, but also on behalf of the South African Universities Law Clinics Association, SAUCA, of which I'm currently the president. May the UJ Law Clinic endure and excel for many more decades. But allow me to say a few words about your clinic. I was wondering whether I should make a presentation with old photos, but that would probably have me exceed my 5 minutes. Having been the director of the UJ Law Clinic for 12 years, I can say in all honesty that the previous director, Advocate Steenhuisen, and the staff, the attorneys, the legal secretaries, had a great vision as to how a law clinic can and should be fitted into an LLB curriculum. This, of course, could not have happened without the buy-in of the deans and the HODs at the time, and I see some of the HODs that I had also here. It certainly is something that other law clinics can aspire to. I regard applied legal studies in the UJ Law Clinic as probably the strongest and most intensive clinical legal education module in the country. Of course, I'm a bit biased, but I'm pretty certain that they're up there. As it is a capstone fourth-year module and compulsory, one can only applaud this achievement. During my years at the UJ Clinic from 2007 to 2019, we had a wild ride. There were traumatic but necessary moves, for instance, the Alexandra and Germiston clinics being amalgamated to Doringfontein, as well as the move of the Divorce Court Clinic to Doringfontein as well. There were highlights like the building and opening of the very nice Soweto Law Clinic. There were wonderful new possibilities, like the approval of the revamping of a building to the tune of 10.5 million rand at the Bunting Road campus in 2014, and then the terrible notification that the same project was scrapped in 2016 as a result of fees must fall. To this day, I still have those plans in my possession, and sometimes I muse about what could have been. And if you don't believe me, here are the plans, by the way. But I'm sure that you are already on your way with new plans. What I've always appreciated at the UJ Law Clinic was the high degree of professionalism amongst the staff. The legal secretaries were excellent and hardworking. The attorneys always insisted on achieving the best outcomes, sometimes to their own detriment, and they just had to work harder to achieve their own goals that they set for themselves. I will never forget the run-up to each year's orientation day, nor how tired we all were once it was done. But there was a sense of achievement and camaraderie that I long for some days. I have no doubt that the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdowns had a severe influence on all law clinics, and each clinic had to deal with it as best it could. It was a shock to all of us. I can, however, see that the move back to normal, and I'm sure that normal will be different, will happen sometime in 2022. And my wish for the UJ Law Clinic is that you will continue to work and find your own new real. Your achievement of teaching almost I'm guessing now, but about 300 students from home during this pandemic cannot and should not be underestimated. I really want to express my admiration for your achievements during the national state of disaster. Colleagues, be assured that I will always be a loyal formal member, I almost said legal, but that's true as well, of the UJ Law Clinic team. And I share with joy in your achievements and celebrations. And I wish you well for the future. May the UJ Law Clinic thrive and prosper for decades and decades to come. Thank you for allowing me to talk.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anikum. Colleagues, something you may not know is that when I was a student on this campus, my lecturer for applied legal studies in the beginning of the year was our next speaker, Advocate Elspie Steenhuisen, and at the end of the year, my lecturer was Mr. Eddie Anikum. So I think it's a just transition again for us to move from Mr. Anikum to Advocate Steenhuisen. So please, if we can call upon Advocate Steenhuisen to address us.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone. Professor Domingo, Mrs. Naidu and clinic staff especially, other guests. It is really a pleasure for me to say a few words today. I would like to start at the beginning because I was there, 1981. I was one of the first students attending the law clinic, and 4 of my friends and I decided that even in the pre-final year LLB, we would definitely join this endeavor. And we went to the Westbury Clinic. There was another one at Hook Street in Joburg Central, and we spent our Saturday mornings there. In 1984, I became a supervisor at Roodepoort. We were still called those days supervisors. And in 1990, I became the director. Now, I've perused former reports of the UJ Law Clinic, and I could see that we were all over the place. We had service offices in Alex, Germiston, and the Johannesburg Magistrates Court. But we were also accommodating students and members of the community at all times. Apart from Saturday afternoons and Sundays, we were open on every other day of the week and at very odd times. And now you have to remember, those years were dangerous. We didn't have cell phones. We had to make use with what we've got and travel at night time by ourselves. Then we also had a lot of projects. I would like to mention 3. We had legal advice officers, apart now from the main campus clinic. And we run those from Krugersdorp and Yeovil. We also had a street law program. And that was just to show the University Law Clinic of Natal that we can also do street law. And we did street law for the children in Hillbrow, for communities at the Small Claims Court, also in Hillbrow and in Randburg. We went to the communities and school children in Takosa, and we even didn't forget the ROU students, the Raukies as they were called then. And funnily enough, I've noted that we wrote in the year report that we dealt with marriages, motor car accidents, and wait for it, wills. Now, I don't know whether we chose that to warn them that a marriage will lead to a car accident for which you will definitely need a will. The note was that there was a lively discussion that day. The third project that I would like to mention was the one that we were chosen for, out of all the law clinics of the country, to do the ROU Legal Aid Centre in Germiston. We were the guinea pigs. We had to sort out all the problems, and only after a year they expanded it to other law clinics in the country, and we all know today how big the legal aid has grown. You will ask me, but did we teach students? We were so busy with other things. Yes, we did. And the staff was definitely committed to the students and the students to the clients. And here I would like to mention the names of our wonderful two secretaries, Mrs. Alice Gerber and Mrs. Magda Otto. They've been there longer than any of us by now. I've looked at the 1995 year report, which is quite a watershed year for the country as well as for the university. We did in that year 131 court appearances, 3,885 consultations amongst only 88 students, 3 half-day staff and 1 full-day director with 3 very part-time supervisors. And the types of cases varied a lot, from tax to presumption of death, wills, edictal citations, and the list goes on. By the early 1990s, we had a great influx of students, especially English-speaking students. We had only 35 students in 1993, then 67 in 1994, and 88 in 95. And this growth and the institutional standing of the clinic achieved by that time required more money. But money became scarce since 1994, and there was lots of competition, even at the university, for some funding. Fortunately, as Natasha has confirmed to me, that the faculty has now taken full responsibility for the finances of the clinic, for which I'm very grateful. There's one case that comes to mind throughout this years, and that was the case of Mr. Moyo. And I think it's because that it was with the clinic for 7 years, and because justice was served in the end. Now, Mr. Moyo bought a truck, paid off the 10,000 rands deposit, and then he could, according to agreement, take the truck into possession. Of course, the defendant refused. We went to trial, and of course, we won. That evening, when my husband asked me, and how was it? What did you do with your day? I said, well, I was very lucky. I spent the whole day with Lolly Jackson. Now, some of you may recall who Lolly Jackson was, with all his facilities that you may have visited. But fortunately, it was not at one of his facilities, but the ones that we frequented. But the story doesn't end there. He appealed, but didn't proceed with the appeal. And then we asked Right Rose Innes to take on the case and do the execution. Mr. Carrington, still with Right Rose Innes today, took it on. And for 5 years, he chased that debt. And then he was successful. But the beauty of this was that he didn't only get his fees, the 10,000 rands for Mr. Moyo, but a full 10,000 rands in interest. Wasn't it for the induplum rule, we would have exceeded the 10,000 rands. But that was a great story of how the law clinic persisted with doing its work. I want to close. I think that the effect and the success of the clinic is evident in when people speak to me since I've left in 2007 and confirm that that we taught them is still applicable for them today. So I got a magistrate just before lockdown in last year, in 2020, and she said to me she's still using the lecture notes that I gave on divorces. And then another colleague of mine, an immigrant that's now been practicing for 15 years, admitted to me how he still follows the 13 steps in conducting a consultation. I think that when you get this feedback, you realize, and this is especially for Natasha and for the staff at the law clinic, the law clinic was a success, is a success, and will be a success. I wish you very well, and we're looking forward to the years that are coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Advocate Sienesen. And we will now hear from another previous UJ colleague and now the director of the University of the Free State Law Clinic, Mr. Paul Antoni.
Good afternoon, esteemed guests, friends, and colleagues. I want to thank you very much, Prof. Van Staden and Prof. Domingo for this opportunity and also for this event. It looks like it's very well organized. As indicated by Prof. Van Staden, my name is Paul Antoni. I'm the director of the UFS Law Clinic and previously an attorney at UJ Law Clinic. It's a privilege and an honor to have been asked to say a few words at this celebration. I'm not just a previous staff member of UJ Law Clinic, but also an alma mater of UJ. In order for me to share this occasion and celebrate this with you, I thought it would be apt for me to share my experience at UJ Law Clinic and how it has impacted not just my career, but myself as a person as well. I joined UJ Law Clinic after having worked at Stellenbosch Law Clinic and UCT Law Clinic. So you can already see, there's already some comparisons there. But I distinctly remember the interview like it was yesterday and how terrifying it was to be interviewed by such a big panel, the questions that were posed and how I felt very uncertain after that. I was not even on the plane back to Cape Town when I received the call and the offer of employment, which I, without any hesitation, accepted. This was a super exciting opportunity for me, and I joined the team in October 2012. I did not mind when I arrived at the clinic at the Auckland Park campus and found that it was housed in an asbestos house between HR and the transport section. For the first time, I experienced genuine awe for the work that law clinics do. And I think I can concur with what Anikum has said, because I would call it now, it was actually the 360 of law clinic services that I've experienced. It included that all attorneys were involved in clinical legal education and access to justice. What one would actually see how frail and anxious final year law students would walk in and leave at the end mature and confident young individuals. You would receive messages. I still have some of those drawings on my wall in my office in Bloemfontein. And I can recall as well the strategic approaches that the officers had in terms of the coffees in the mornings, the inductions of students, the relationships that the students built with each other, and that was encouraged. We were a team, and each member contributed to the value of the team. And I had to, at that time, step up and make my contribution. And that's what I am grateful for as well. The sharing of recipes, I can remember the delicious food was always part of the team discussions that I miss nowadays. There was a time when I said I would do a master's degree and everyone in the team supported me and even joined by enrolling for their masters. This is the type of team that I was part of and I can still remember. With this team, we went through the journey together and shared the highs and lows. I completed my master's degree at UJ, and the bug of academia actually bit me. And the challenge, the final hurdle of NQF level 10 loomed on the horizon. And again, I could lean on the team and they supported me on the journey. This was even after I left UJ Law Clinic. The work as a clinician is sometimes very lonely and it feels like it is not being appreciated. I remember fondly how 1 out of 100 clients and students would sometime return to thank us for the services rendered. They would bake cupcakes from their last cents to just say thank you. And these are again the moments that I treasure and that I think I want to encourage my ex-colleagues and friends to treasure and share and share with clinicians and junior attorneys. The decision to leave was not an easy one, and to tell the team was even more challenging. I am currently leading a team at the UFS Law Clinic and have taken the DNA of UJ Law Clinic with me, and I'm inculcating it into this unit. Our law clinic is not 40 yet, and I hope it can reach the heights that UJ Law Clinic has achieved. I turned 40 last year, and it is a good age to be at because you are not old, not too old and not too young. And this is what I think UJ Law Clinic can also attest to. You know, you've got the experience and you know where you are going. After hearing Prof. Domingo's presentation at the Sahulka conference a few weeks ago, I can say that the right people are leading UJ Law Clinic. And here I include Mrs. Naidu, the current director. I consider her a mentor and friend and wish her and her team another excellent 40 years again. To Elton, Alet, Elise, Kokshan, Gugu, and Mamukele, please keep doing the great work you are doing and know that it is appreciated, even when no one says thank you. I'm grateful to have been part of your team. And if I were personally at the event, I would be able to put up a cheers to another 40 years. Congratulations from myself and the UFS Law Clinic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ntweni. And we are now very privileged to hear from our current director of the UJ Law Clinic, Mrs. Natasha Naidu. Mrs. Naidu.
Thank you, Marius. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time out to celebrate this momentous occasion with us. You have heard from the previous directors of the UJ Law Clinic, each of whom have played a pivotal role in the success of the law clinic, and in doing so, they've left an indelible mark on the law clinic. As you've heard from everybody, I've been recently appointed as the director of the UJ Law Clinic, and it's just been close on to 2 years now that I've been at the helm of this ship called the UJ Law Clinic. And as luck would have it, I had to steer the ship through the choppy waters of the pandemic. It has been an arduous journey, I will not lie, and I often found myself asking myself, what did I get myself into? And with my predecessors' words ringing in my ears all the time, be careful what you wish for. However however difficult this journey has been, it was made lighter by the assistance and support of the UJ Law Clinic crew. We had to move from a fully contact teaching model to a simulated teaching model, and it was only through the passion, the drive, commitment, and pure love for the job that this transition was seamless. We at the Law Clinic, I believe, subscribe to the phrase Sikwenza Ngotando, which when translated from Zulu means we do it for the love. This will become apparent from the video that we are going to share with you all now, just after my speech, and you will see how passionate, how dedicated, and how driven the Law Clinic crew is. Before I actually share the video with you, I would just like to make a special mention of 3 individuals who I believe if they were not at the Law Clinic, the ship would sink. And they are Mrs. Bongiwe Fakude, Mrs. Mamokhela Maleka, and Mrs. Magda Otto. I want to just say thank you very much for your dedication and your loyalty to the UJ Law Clinic. I'm not going to keep you any longer, so without any further ado, please let's meet the Law Clinic crew.
The University of Johannesburg Law Clinic was founded in February 1981 by George Frans Malan, Professor J.C. van der Walt, and Professor Skalk van der Merwe, who was the first director of the law clinic. Students' participation in the law clinic during this time was voluntary. With only 18 students participating, 2 law clinics were opened, one in Westbury and the second one in Hook Street in the Johannesburg CBD. Due to an increase in the demand from the community for free legal services and the number of students, the law clinic expanded and opened offices on the Auckland Park campus, Roodepoort, Alexandra, Germiston, and the Johannesburg Magistrates Court at the Family Courts. The Roodepoort and Westbury Law Clinic closed its doors in 1987 and 1989. The Germiston and Alexandra Law Clinic were both relocated to the Doornfontein Law Clinic in 2007 and 2008 respectively.
Welcome to the UJ Law Clinic, the Doornfontein campus. So one fun fact about our offices is that it's actually a heritage house. It was used as housing in the early 1900s by the mine captains, and here we are using the same heritage house as our offices. How awesome is that? How interesting is that? Anyways, with our UJ Law Clinic here at Doornfontein campus, we opened our doors in 2008 after closure of our offices in Germiston and Alexandra, and we assist clients in Yeoville, Hillbrow, Doornfontein, so basically areas in the southern and eastern of Johannesburg. So let me show you inside. Good morning, Mamkhele.
Morning, Cynthia.
Also, this is Mamkhele Maleka. She's our paralegal secretary here since 2011. She does an amazing job. She's responsible for all the administrative work here, and she's also responsible for drafting our court documents. So, Mamkhele, can you please tell us which cases do we deal with here at the law clinic?
We deal with general litigation, delicts, family law, divorces.
Currently, the UJ Law Clinic comprises of 3 law clinics based on the Auckland Park campus, Doornfontein campus, and our flagship law clinic based in Soweto. At the Doornfontein Law Clinic, Mrs. Radley, who has been with UJ for 20 years, takes the students through their paces and imparts her invaluable practical knowledge to the students.
Welcome again to the Law Clinic, and I'm just here to introduce our principal attorney here at the Doornfontein campus Law Clinic here. Her name is Miss Elise Radley. As I say, she's our principal here, principal attorney here. So, Miss Radley, can you please tell us, when did you join the Law Clinic?
Yes, Cynthia, I joined the law clinic of the Rand Afrikaans University in the year 2000. As part of the Johannesburg Courts Clinic project that we ran at that time. We assisted the Department of Justice in 4 different specialist courts there. The Domestic Violence Court, the Divorce Court, Juvenile Justice and Maintenance Court, and also the Criminal Courts. And we had a program where we worked with the inquest prosecutors, where the students read the dockets and analyze the evidence. This was quite a path-breaking project that the students actually enjoyed immensely, because it was a type of an active working learning experience in a working environment in the courtrooms. So the students enjoyed that immensely. And then actually in 2005, I presented a paper in Australia, in Melbourne, at the Clinical Legal Education Conference regarding the work that we do at the Specialist Courts Clinic. And it was only there that we realized, well, we were quite ahead of its time, because all the international delegates at the conference were so interested in the Courts Clinic project and how we are doing it and what we are doing, because they also want to implement that in their countries. But in 2010, end of 2010, the UJ law faculty ended the public-private partnership between UJ and the Department of Justice. And that's when I moved over here, beginning of 2011. I moved over to Doornfontein.
So, Ms. Radley, do you specialize in a specific area of law?
Cynthia, here at the Law Clinic we do quite a variety of cases. I am not a firm believer in specialization. I tend to think that if you possess over the necessary transferable skills, you can commit to practice in various areas of law. I'd rather be a jack of all trades, master of most, and I believe that the magic happens outside the comfort zone. Specialization sometimes I think can become a little bit boring. We do cases here at the Law Clinic, public interest cases that basically addresses the rights and issues and concerns of the broader public. I think if I can, maybe I can just demonstrate with one of the cases that we did. When I was still at the Courts Clinic in 2001, there was a tendency started in 2001 where women would come to the Law Clinic for assistance because they wanted to get married. And on the days of the marriage at the Home Affairs offices, they would realize or discover that they are actually already married to a person that they don't know from a bar of soap that they've never met. Usually these people were then illegal foreigners. They never knew the people, they never met the people, but yet they were married. And then Home Affairs sent him to us to do a divorce, but you couldn't do a divorce because you cannot do a divorce for a person who's not legally married. So we engaged with the Department of Home Affairs and tried to resolve this problem, but they were not very much interested to give any assistance or to take the way for that, other than just to send the people to us to do the divorces, which we couldn't do. So in 2011, when I came over here, the same situation was just carrying on. In 2001, one of our students, Sharon Hendricks, was a journalist at the Start newspaper, and she wrote an article about this. And that article just opened a can of worms, and more women came forward who had this problem, and this also had more coverage in the media. So in 2011, when I came here, I decided to take the Department of Home Affairs to court and to stop this as a social problem that must stop. And after a lengthy court battle, and it was very expensive as well, in 2014, we managed to get the court order that directed the Department of Home Affairs, specifically the Minister of Home Affairs at that point in time, to expunge these marriages from the marriage register with costs. We also, all that expensive money the department had to pay back to us, the costs that we incurred there. So that is basically the broader type of cases, public type of cases that we do at the clinic. At the clinic, the focus is on training of the students. We do not per se just do legal aid work. The training of the students is the primary focus. And we use suitable cases that the students will have had exposure to or knowledge of, or will be able to handle, because here they are not mere observers. They are not just passengers and looking on to what we are doing. They take the responsibility for the cases. They must do the work, and they must learn how to work under pressure.
Ms. Radley, what can you say were the highlights in your career here at the Law Clinic?
The highlights, there are just too many to mention, but I guess I must mention a few. I think the fact that I have the opportunity to work with some of the most incredible, fantastic legal minds in the country, in all of the cases that we do, people who don't hesitate to share their wealth of knowledge and experience with me. That's one of the highlights for me. And then there was in 2016, Ashley Seckel. He was my student assistant at that point in time, and he won the award, the probono.org National Award, for his dedication and commitment as a student towards the work that he does in the law clinic. That was a great highlight for us.
Greetings, my name is Ashley Seckel, an admitted legal practitioner of the High Court of South Africa, practicing as a senior associate at Smith Sugulum Incorporated. I wish to take this opportunity to wish the University of Johannesburg's Law Clinic an amazing 40th birthday. It's been a great journey, a journey of note, 40 years of making a difference in our society, 40 years of granting the indigent access to justice, 40 years of equipping students and bridging the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical exposure to real-life situations. And I have no doubt that the strides that the university has achieved in the past 40 years will only get better in the next 40 to come. Of course, my journey with the clinic only began in 2015 as I did my final year at the Dorenfontein Law Clinic, and I had the opportunity of working under the leadership and guidance of Mrs. Elise Redley, who went an extra mile in equipping us as students and preparing us for the world that was awaiting us in private practice. And in 2016, I'll then be appointed as a student assistant at the very same law clinic. And man, what an amazing experience.
And then it was also the National Diploma in Law Paralegal Studies that I was a coordinator and a co-founder of. It was a program that we established to train paralegals in rural communities with certain basic legal knowledge and skills, so that people in the rural areas have more basic rights to access to justice and basic information regarding their rights. That was also a highlight for me. I presented that until I think 2010 or 11. And then it was the Candidate Attorneys program that we started here at Dorenfontein in 2013. We had our first candidate attorney was Ms. Nazreen Ismail. She's currently also still a colleague at the Faculty of Law, and she was admitted in 2016. And then we had Mr. Warren Bowles. He was admitted in 2018. And now Antonelli Ndlovu, she was recently admitted in just 2 weeks ago, 19 August 2021. And then our candidate attorney now is Ms. Cynthia Torevesai.
At the Auckland Park Campus Law Clinic, our newly appointed and capable Ms. Zuba assists the competent and passionate Ms. Effendi in training the students in practical aspects of the law.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Auckland Park Law Clinic. Let me show you around. Follow me to see our consultation cubicles. This is where our students will sit and consult with a live client. A member of the public will come here and get some legal advice. Let's see the rest of the clinic. My office is over here. I consult with my students in my office. Let's go see the rest. So this is where the director of the 3 law clinics sits. Our office is next door mine. She's busy teaching, but let's just have a quick look.
The 3 law clinics are currently under the directorship of the newly appointed Mrs. Natasha Naidu. Mrs. Naidu has been steering this ship for a year now, having taken over from the previous director, Mr. Eddie Anikum. Mrs. Naidu also lectures the course Applied Legal Studies, which is a compulsory module for all final year students. The module comprises of theoretical lectures and practical application, which is done at the law clinics.
I'd like to share some highlights with you now of the achievements of the law clinic. The law clinic at Dorenfontein, or DFC, has successfully litigated against various state organs, such as the Department of Home Affairs, the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department, the Minister of Police, and the Johannesburg Metropolitan Municipality in matters of a delictual nature. In one matter, we instituted motion proceedings against the Department of Home Affairs in a matter where our client was a party to a registered marriage to a Pakistani national whom she had never met or married. This resulted in a very lengthy and expensive High Court application, which was obviously strenuously opposed by the Department of Home Affairs. Justice prevailed, and we obtained a court order with costs against Home Affairs, who was instructed as well to expunge the marriage from their records. In 2016, one of our alumnus students and former student assistant at the DFC Law Clinic, Mr. Ashley Seckel, was awarded with the 2016 ProBono.org National Award. This award recognizes a high level of commitment and dedication as a law student to his or her work at a university law clinic. The Soweto Law Clinic was instrumental in the case of Baby Daniels, where the attorney, Mr. Elton Hart, played an instrumental role in bringing the mother and her boyfriend at the time to justice. In 2010, the Law Clinic received an award of recognition by the university's Community Engagement Department for the faculty-based project. And in 2011, the Law Clinic took first place for the university-based Community Engagement Project. This year, the Law Clinic was very fortunate to receive funding for our LexisNexis subscription from the German South African Lawyers Association in the amount of 50,000 Rand.
My colleague Ms. Zuba, she sits over here and will consult with her students.
Hi, I'm Zipo. I'm an attorney at UJ Law Clinic, APK campus. I joined the Law Clinic about 6 months ago, which was on time to be a part of this amazing celebration. It's been an exciting journey so far for me, though it has been challenging in its own right, in that we've been doing our teaching and learning online, which was basically something very new for me. I'm not new to the Law Clinic space, but that platform for me was a little bit challenging at the beginning, but I can say it's been a blessing in that I've now become a little bit more technology savvy. It's been an amazing journey for me to be a part of this 40 years of success and to make my contribution. Thank you.
Then we have Mrs. Otto, our office manager. She's hard at work, as you can see, always busy.
My name is Magda Otto. I started my law clinic career back in 1989 at the old Alexandra Law Clinic. They call it Alexandra, although we were not situated right in the middle of Alex. We were in Kew. We were on the premises of Barlow's, and unfortunately they gave us the premises, but they didn't give us the garden services that went with that. So I would normally take my children on a Saturday, they were still in primary school then, and we will take out all the bossies and mow the lawn and everything just to keep it nice and clean for our customers. And also next to us were the microwave cookery school. And the smells you got from there, when you go home in the afternoon, you will eat out the whole fridge because of the smell of the cookery school. I worked there under the supervision of Advocate Bets Berger first, and then it came Advocate Pinda Dube. And I had wonderful students that year, during those years. And also the students that were there, like for instance, Mrs. Naidu, our current director, was one of the students at the Alex office. And so were Dr. Sarel de Tooy, who's now Vice Dean at the faculty, and also Dr. Miss Paru, she's also at the faculty. They were some of our students. In 2006, our director then, Advocate Elsie Steenhuisen, told me that I must do the National Diploma in Law. At that time, I was about 45 years old and I was so scared to take on this. But I managed to do that, and I finished my National Diploma in Law in 2007. So in mid-2007, July 2007, I moved to the APK Law Clinic. where I started as a full-day secretary. I worked for Mr. Anikum then and for Mrs. Naidu. Now that Mrs. Naidu is the director of the law clinic, I work for the director and the two attorneys at the APK Law Clinic, which is Ms. Effendi and Ms. Zuba. I enjoy working at the law clinic, well, it's now 32 years. I really enjoy the students. I like to engage with the students, talking about their sports. We had quite a few sporting stars as students here. We had a cricketer, we had a rugby player, we had a lady soccer player, and because I'm such a sport fanatic, I really enjoy talking to them about sports. Now with COVID, I really miss the students. I can't wait for them to get back to campus so that I can interact with students. I've only got 3 years left at the university, so I want to use those 3 years just to get more to know the students, what they are doing, what they are planning to do in future. And yeah, hopefully when Cyril talks again, we can get back to the normal. I don't know. And yeah, look, the university has always been very good to me. I can't complain about anything about the university. I like my job. I enjoy working at UJ Law Clinic, and that's why I've been here for 32 years.
And let's go to the boardroom. Hi everyone, my name is Gord Shanifini. I've been at the UJ Law Clinic since November 2017. I've really enjoyed my time here. Our primary focus is access to justice and clinical legal education. We supervise students through a live client model, which means clients come to the law clinic and students get to do real consultations and assist with real live matters. We then supervise that. However, since the pandemic, we've moved online and the process has completely changed. We had to learn a new set of skills, expand our skill set and teach students through an online module. It's been great. It has also been challenging, but the law clinic has been a place where I personally can grow. I've become a member of the SALCA executive and had many other opportunities such as attending Skakuza conference. The law clinic is really a place where we can help people who think that justice is unattainable. Our primary focus has been divorce at the APK Law Clinic. So we've assisted many people find closure and let go of their past. We also assist with consumer-related matters, civil litigation, and we help students grow not only their skill set, but also as individuals, ethical, accountable people who have a social justice ethos and want to give back to the community. Thank you.
Mrs. Bale and Mr. Hart, two experienced and extremely capable attorneys, have their offices at our Soweto campus law clinic. This is the flagship law clinic which was designed and built in accordance with the law clinic's requirements.
What we see here today is my baby, Soweto Law Clinic. I started with this specific clinic in the beginning of 2011. I was involved with this clinic even before there was any pen or paper in the clinic. I started off working on the plans. Initially it was a bit smaller than what it is today. Today it's a nice big baby. It's grown to the extent that we are battling to find our feet sometimes. I'm the law clinic principal in this specific clinic. Currently we have a candidate attorney, which is the third one for this clinic. We have Mr. Hart, which is the other attorney from the clinic, and our secretary. So when I started the clinic, there was no secretary, there was only student assistants. Our clients who came from the community of Soweto sat in my reception to the extent that I didn't have sufficient chairs for all of them.
I am Bongiwe Fakude. I'm originally from KwaZulu-Natal. I joined the University of Johannesburg Soweto Law Clinic in August 2011. I am the first secretary appointed at this law clinic. It's new amongst the other law clinics. My experience when I got here, it was a little bit different because in my previous employment, we used to work with students like not every day. But when I got here, I found out that we have to work with students every day. We have to see clients every day, which I was not familiar with. But it was not a difficult thing to learn. I adapted easily because of the support and that I got from my seniors or from anyone that I could get help from. So other than that, the experience was not that different because the administration is the same in every law clinic, I believe, because we're talking legal terms. So it was not that much different, but I had to walk that journey of learning different things here as compared to the previous ones. It was not that bad at all because I had support all the way. So like working with students here has taught me a lot to learn about different characters, how students themselves react to any other person, be it me or the clients or the law clinic principals. So it has taught me even to adapt to that because you have to learn and understand the person you're working with. My journey here, there are ups and downs at work, but it was not bad that one could say, I'm having a bad experience. That bad itself is a learning curve for everyone because you have to learn and adapt to the differences you get from other people you work with. So it's like here at the law clinic, it's exciting to work here, meeting different people, helping people with their problems, and they walk out happy with happy faces. Yeah, I like it and I enjoy working with people. In fact, I like to solve matters anyway. I would have started to be the lawyer, maybe, I think so. Yeah, so other than that, I would say I've enjoyed working with the law clinic staff, UJ staff as well, because we also work with other departments as well. So it's like a home away from home to be here. That's all I can say.
I started off as a temporary appointment in the old Alexandra Clinic before Alexandra Clinic moved to Doornfontein. So when the Alexandra Clinic moved to the Doornfontein Clinic, that was in 2008. I started as a temp in Alexandra in 2007. So then we moved to Doornfontein Clinic in 2008, and then I've worked there until the end of 2010 during the World Cup and everything. And then we started this nice baby that you can see now. We've got our clients come from the local community. We do many different types of cases. We enjoy this type of case simply because we feel that we can make a difference not only by teaching our students but also by helping the community that we have. We're one of the only 2 institutions in the Soweto area assisting clients on a pro bono basis. So the other one is Legal Aid, which is situated very close to us. We've got a very good relationship with them. We've got a very good relationship with the magistrates. The courts that we serve here is the Kliptown Regional Court, the Protea Magistrates Court and the Regional Court there. And every once in a while we step outside the boundaries and go to some of the other courts. The plans that the clinic started off with initially was very interesting because this building used to be the old administrative building. This space that you're seeing now, which is in my office, was not part of the initial plans. And when we had a look at the plans, we thought, no, we've got to take away the parking area that they've got so that we can add more consultation space for the students. And that is more or less how this clinic started, and we're still running strong to the extent that the courts actually phone us very often, tell us, can we send clients? When are you back from COVID? Please, can we send the clients there? So we've got a very good relationship with the whole of our community and not just with our pro bono partners.
My name is Elton Hart. I'm an attorney at the University of Johannesburg Soweto Law Clinic. I joined the clinic in 2012 as a litigation attorney, where we work with our students on clinical legal education. This is actually the spot where we put the apply in application. So we take real life clients, our students get the opportunity to speak to real life clients, work on files like this, where they actually consult with real life clients to actually give them the best and rounded approach when they go back into the working world, so that they have practical experience. That's what we do at the UJ Law Clinic, and that's what we're known for.
My name is Gikanze Mukwena. I am the candidate attorney at the Soweto Law Clinic. I was appointed in June 2021. Previously, I was a student assistant at the law clinic. I also completed my LLB at UJ. Through the years, my experience has been very fruitful at the law clinics. I have learned a lot from Mrs. Bale and Mr. Hart, and I can only hope that going forward my experience will be nothing but the best.
I just want to thank each and every colleague that I've worked with, that we've worked with over this past 40 years. Every director, every secretary, every paralegal, every candidate attorney that we've worked with, that I've worked with, to make this such a special workplace experience. I also want to thank the University of Johannesburg for the support that we've received from them over the years, as well as the law faculty, who supports us financially and with guidance and management to be able to do the work that we do at the law clinics.
The law clinic has grown over the years from strength to strength, thanks to the support and assistance of the faculty, the legal profession, colleagues, and alumni.
The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.
This is perhaps a good time for us here to raise a toast, and I will give everybody at home about 30 seconds to also get a glass, and even if it's just a glass of water or a glass of juice or whatever your favorite beverage is, so that we can raise a toast on, or a glass of whatever, on the UJ Law Clinic. So I'll give you all at home also a couple of seconds to do that. And you've got a glass that you want to raise with us. You're very welcome to put on your camera so that we can all rise a glass, lift a glass together to the UJ Faculty of Law's Law Clinic. To 40 more years. Hallelujah. Cheers. I think this is then an opportune time just to call upon Professor David de Villiers to do a closing address for us.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, the Executive Dean, Professor Domingo, colleagues from the clinic, colleagues from all over the place, old colleagues or former colleagues, present colleagues, all of you. It is really a privilege to address you, and you know it's a big challenge to do the closing address because you can't prepare. You don't know what the other speakers are going to say, and you do not want to repeat what they're saying. So I am quite sure that I will share some information that even the law clinics will not know. I've got in front of me an old book. It still says Rechtskliniek. It is 2 years, 1994 and 1995 up to 1996 when I joined the old ROU. And I'm going to share a couple of incidents. Where's Magda? She's about the only one, and Elsaby, of course, those days were also here. and some of it really good news, but it wasn't all easy. The last 40 years, even from the start, was troubled waters. When did I first hear about the law clinic at the old ROU? In 1981, when they were established, because in the former year, I was in my final LLB year with Tikkies, and I hate to say that they beat us with 1 year. The law clinic was established in 1981, but 1980 during my final year, but they were only ready after us. And there were very good reasons for that. Those days, it was a partnership between legal aid and clinics. And they didn't call it law clinics as we call it now. It was more legal aid centers. And then I'm going to say a few things about the history of the legal aid center at the old ROU and how it developed as a junior partner those days with legal aid. So although we were established in 1981, we were actually out in operation, dealing with the stuff that was important, students being allocated clients before Tikkies. So they took about 3 years for the simple reason that the relationship between Legal Aid Pretoria and UP wasn't as good as Legal Aid Johannesburg and ROU. And that was very important. But I would like to share a few things from the old days. You know, those days, ROU and UP decided that this is the way forward, and they discussed it with the they discussed it with the Northern Provinces Circle of Attorneys and with legal aid, and it started not as easy as what we think, but it was, some of these things were quite nostalgic. You know, 40 years is a very long term with downs and ups and changes. That was 1981. I would like to share with you a few comments. I joined ROU and got to know the law clinic in 1996. It was just a few years, and I think it was in 1997 that the director, Advocate Elsie Steenhuisen, went on leave, and we struggled sort of to get things those days up and running again after a short break, and a couple of people act as director those days. They didn't call the person a director those days. But what was very important, within 2-3 years, the then Dean, Professor Derek van der Merwe, appointed me as a one-man, or let me rather say a one-person commission to investigate the law clinics. And I said, but why? Everything is so good. He said, no, the university is concerned that the law clinics is becoming a liability. And it was quite a shock on my system. And I went in my role as a one-man investigator to all the clinics those days. That was Germiston, Alberton, Johannesburg Magistrates Court. And I got this. And this was about money. And those days, unlike that, you can believe it, and I would like to share with you the memorandum between the legal aid and our legal aid center at Rand Afrikaans University. And I'm only going to read one thing to make you jealous. And I'm looking at our article clerks at the moment. In the paragraph between this memorandum of understanding between legal aid and ROU, it said, for every principal employed at a clinic, the clinic may employ up to 10 candidate attorneys. Can you believe it? That was in 1994. But here's the catch. Who shall be employed and remunerated by the university. And this didn't go down well, because those days we were sort of dependent on legal aid, and we were when we rent all the premises in Germiston, in Alberton. I've got these contracts, etc., all with me, and I'm going to hand it to Natasha for your archives. Someone can sometimes use it to write something about the law clinic and put it on paper. And I will assist. I've got more of this. I only brought one. But what was important was that it was money. You know, those days, the Fidelity Fund sponsored the director in full. The salary was paid. But for the rest, it was the law clinic that needs to get money to employ other people on a part-time basis. And that is where this creature of a 5/8 position came in. And Eddie Anikum will know, Natasha will know how long we fought to say, listen, this can't work because it's not a 5/8 position job. It is 24 hours a day that you must be available and you must be there for your students. And we were successful to some extent. And it took 20 years for the law clinic to get into a position that the university recognized the importance. And later on with the CHE report, we could tell the university, we told you so. This is how important law clinics are in an LLB's training and in his qualification obtaining of an LLB. So this is the one example, and it's interesting the people who signed it. But you know, one of the questions that was raised is it is a liability because the one of your premises that you are responsible to pay rent, the university need to pay rent, went up from 986 Rand a month in 1995 to 1,104 Rand. So how on earth can you now say 120 Rand, now more expensive to rent a premise? And eventually between the legal aid that paid eventually, but that was also a struggle. Then it wasn't paid and then the university was responsible and so it went on. There's another interesting signature by the then George Barry on behalf of it, and that was in 1994. Let me hasten just to give you two or three more examples. If you want to look at the contract, and I'm talking about a lease contract those days, and who's going to be responsible for what? It's a 32-page document. And the detail is almost unbelievable. They're referring to what you may or may not do. You may not play loud music at the premises. You may not go out and have a braai. You may not use alcohol on the premises. You must keep your students inside the building. They may not wander around. And that was in Germiston, Alberton, and Magistrates Court in Johannesburg. So these were all in a contract. And then just one or two things about money. It was unbelievable, and I am going to hasten to end. It was tough. On some cases, and I've got this there in someone's handwriting, and we're talking about 500 Rand. And they say, may we please receive payment earlier? Because this was the cash flow problems that the law clinic those days had to deal with. And then when you get to the good news, is when our salaries were being paid by the university, things went better. But I want to mention one thing because she's with us at the moment, and I'm going to skip a few things, and that is where Magda Otto asked for a chair. And they said, and here I've got it, and Advocate Steenhuisen, it's your signature here, September 1997. And it's Afrikaans, I'm just going to translate freely. I would appreciate it, that's coming from Advocate Steenhuisen, if we can buy a chair for Magda Otto. You know that the chair that we previously ordered is not very comfortable. And there might have been a misunderstanding. We will use the chair someplace else. And sorry to our secretaries that they passed the chair on to a secretary, another secretary, so that Magda Otto, I think she was the senior person, could then get a new chair, and it was signed by Elsevier Steenhuisen. Those were the days. Let me come to an end. You know, money was an issue, and we sorted it out. And at the moment, the law clinic is financially really, really one of the best clinics from that perspective. They were very good in handling and managing their money. And also, they did get some third stream income from the paralegals those days. And at the moment, I think it is wonderful to say that we do have a couple of article clerks over the last part years. It took about 20 years, but we're definitely not close to the 10 per clinic that we allowed to appoint. The other thing is the money was an issue. The other thing was staff and UJ management. You know, the biggest problem, law clinics all over the world, is people normally do not stay. It's a short-term thing. We can't say that with our law clinic. When we talk about 10 years, 12 years, we talk about 25 years staying with the same, 35 years staying with the same clinic. It's really an accomplishment, and I call it commitment and loyalty. People do not leave easily. You hear what Paul said about it was bad for him to leave, and he's now the director at Free State, and I think he will still like to be at the best clinic and not at Free State. He should be here. I normally say we have the best clinic, and let me say why. They say, but you are bragging. It's one of the best. I said, no, it's the best. And they say, but that's bragging. I said, it's not bragging if it's true. And if I'm a law of evidence person, if I am committed to give evidence about that, and I would like to quote the late Nick Swart from Lead, and I would like to quote the chief examiner on procedural law with the general counsel, with the advocates, Advocate Barry ROU SC, and the law of evidence examiner, Advocate Davie Jacobs. We sat at meetings, and you know, at those days when we started, they would say, the people who pass their bar exams, and with Lead, the people who pass their articles, where did they come from what faculties? And I was very proud. I was very proud to say that ROU and UJ featured always, not always number one, but at the top. And then they started to say, we're not going to mention it anymore. I said, that's fine. We know what we achieve, and we get the emails, and we get the thanks, and we get the compliments of how our students are performing. It brings me to the second last point, and that is UJ management. Really, the support from the former deans, I'm talking about Professor Derek van der Merwe, Professor George Barry, Yanni Otto, Patrick O'Brien, George Mpedi, and now Professor Wessel Domingo, so supportive. And it is important because without the support of your executive dean, you're going to find yourself in more troubled waters. So that is the thanks for them. And then UJ management, they know now that the law clinic are so important, also for the stature of the university and the faculty, and that is really important for us that we have their support. Let me end with students. Our profile of our students, it's not only a number game, it's also, we need to know, when you work with first generation students and you need to take them into situations, and I can tell you it's one of the best things that you can ever experience. If you have a consultation with a poorest of the poor student, and that student is absolutely depending on you as a final year student, and a week or two after you arrange the settlement or you help that student, you get sometimes not even an email. You get a please call me from a cell phone. And when you return that call, the person is so emotional about what you did for him. There's no better feeling than that. The difference that we are making in the lives of our students, you can't compare it with anything else. So this is our students at the moment. It is sad that for the second year, they did not have that feeling of dealing with, but it will return. I'm quite sure it will. Last is to end with where Professor Domingo started, and that is, I'm glad to say that the law clinic is open for change. We're open to transform things. We're open to adjust to things like Industry 4.0, new technology. I think we, with the role models, and Eddie Anikum admitted that. The moment that we were in a crisis last year, we said that we are going to deal with it, make the best of it, and we have a system in place with online learning that you can't compare with anything else. Maybe there are other similar situations, but nowhere else I can think of a better one. I had the opportunity to talk about our law clinic overseas. In Western Australia, they just opened a state-of-the-art clinic. And when we discussed our clinic, they couldn't believe where we are compared to what they have in Australia. And I would like to say congratulations to the former colleagues, the present colleagues, and the future colleagues. I would like to say our final years are really privileged to have you people that they can rely on, and they can take their job forward. knowing that they have the best training that we as UJ people could be possible to present to them, the training, the involvement, the companionship, and lifelong friends. People will still email me after many years and say, I'm now a practicing barrister in London. It's 15 years ago, and then he mentioned something from a law clinic. And it's not one, it's all of our law clinic, it's all of our people, and I think that is really good to hear. And from my side, in closing then, congratulations to the law clinic. Thank you to all the people who made this possible. Lara, Marius, thank you for your role into this. Thank you for the people that attended, and I hope that I won't be here in 40 years, but many of you, when you celebrate the 80 years, think about this day in fond memory. Thank you so much. Executive Dean Marius, I greet you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. And with that, all that is left for me to say is thank you for joining us, and have a pleasant afternoon and a good weekend. Thank you and goodbye.